Alright, well, I'm going to be upfront about this one. This is the worst that I have played in the GBA, and the worst I have played in 6th in general, which granted isn't that many additional games. And there probably were only a few games in 4th that I played that were worse than this. I played like a bucket of trash in this game. And that's too bad, because this was a game against John, aka Pokemon. Pretty good buddy of mine, coach of the New Orleans Pelippers, and he deserved better than what I gave him in this game. So I want to apologize to John, and also to you, the viewers, because you are apparently going to be watching this, so hopefully you're able to derive some sort of enjoyment from this video. So something good needed to come from this game, because there was not really anything good about the playing that I did in this game. Maybe you'll disagree with that assessment as you watch the game, but I tried to play to a certain standard and did not reach that standard whatsoever in this game. Whether I win or lose, I like to try to hit that standard, and we did not. So, bleh. The only good thing was there was no disconnect, so that's good. Anyway, John is a good team. You saw the records there. We are one game apart. Differential is such that if he gets a big win, he can overtake me in the lead of the division. Or I can go 2 games up on him with a win. So we'll see how we go. But here's his team. We got Pinhead, the Empoleon, Stitches, the Staraptor, Blitzkrieg, the Raikou, Warren Sapp, the Mega Venusaur, JJ Watt, the Kyurem Negro, and Ray Lewis, the Krookodile. So, I guess not appearing, we have Entei, Uxie, Sylveon, which I'm kind of glad to see because no heal bell to get rid of all the paralysis that I like to throw everywhere. Hariyama, and Spiritomb. So on our team, we have the new acquisition, Nidoking, is coming in just in time to stop any potential choice Volt Switch shenanigans from Raikou. So I'm pretty pleased about that. He is, however, going to be a special Nido this week with Life Orb. Not anything too out of the ordinary, and just Stealth Rock tossed on there for good measure. Now, right after I finished breeding this guy, I was like, you know what? Adamant Nido would have a very good likelihood to be better in this game because I got super effective stab to Empoleon and Sylveon, but both of them are weaker on the physical side. Granted, that could be EV to be good on the physical side still. But there's also like the thought of like Assault Vest, which he's been using on both Raikou and Entei, and some other things like that. But in the end, I decided that it would be stab either way, but I don't know what I would do for the third move, which is Focus Blast. It's stab and Focus Blast for Black Kyurem. It would probably have been Head Smash. I know, guys, right? I didn't use Head Smash Nido. Shocking thing, huh? But in the end, I decided to go special because I already had it EV'd and everything, and I was like, he has 2 Intimidators, so physical might or might not be better. It kind of depends, so I just decided to go with special. Zapdos is a very bizarre set this week. That's why I wrote Bizardos right there. We have no Electric Stab. Yeah, we are, I believe, Timid, Max Speed, Max HP. We're going to be paralyzing stuff. We also have Roost, of course. We got Air Cutter, because this is kind of meant for Mega Venusaur. And the 4th move, I was like, I don't know what to do with this. At first, I was going to put Defog on there, and then I realized that, for whatever reason, I didn't port my Timid Zapdos up with Defog, so I was going to have to play through Soul Silver again from the start if I wanted a Timid Defog Zapdos. So I didn't want to do that in the course of 2 days, or postpone the game on any further than we needed to. So then I decided, you know what, we're just going to go no Defog. Just whatever. I don't think he successfully set up Stealth Rock the whole season, so we're just calling no Defog. And I ended up putting Sub on there, which is, logical choice. Part of me said, put T-Bolt on there, that's smart, that's intelligent, and then I had another move on there that I was going to put on that was going to be crazy. But we ended up going with a kind of boring option. So I told myself, Cooper, this is stupid. You have a Zapdos that's going to get walled by Empoleon, but we went with it anyway. Vaporeon is here mostly to be a no, put that away to Entei, which he did not bring. So that's part of Vaporeon's usefulness gone. But she also has Heal Bell and other generic Vaporeon stuff. Can do well against Krookodile, I guess. So whatever. Vaporeon's there. Additionally, we have Whimsicott. Whimsicott is going to be also known as our panic button this game. You will get to see why Whimsicott is the panic button. Emergency bail me out of this, Whimsy type thing. We also have a couple moves to deal with Mega Venusaur switch-ins, that being Psychic to do some damage to it if it's already pretty low. Depending on how it's EV'd, maybe we can do something decent to it. Or just throw up a light screen, because most of the time they tend to run special. That'll, increase the number of things I can bring in against it. Throw up a light screen with Whimsicott on the switch. We also have Aggron. That's right, Aggron's coming the 3rd week in a row. And he's going to be, however, a different Aggron this week. Rather than the world-destroying power that is Adamant Life Orb, he is Jolly Scarf. Now, I want you guys to think about that for a second. Jolly Aggron. When in the world would Aggron ever be jolly? He is a menacing metal-plated dinosaur. It's kind of silly to run a jolly Aggron, but we are, because interesting quirk about Scarf base 50s, base 50 speed that is, at level 50, they are able to outspeed same-natured base 100s. At level 100, they miss out by 1 point. So I thought that was pretty cool. The change from 100 to 50, from Gen 4 to Gen 6, so, pretty cool. John has one guy faster than base 100, so Aggron outspeeds everything but Raikou, unless it's Scarf, so I thought that was pretty cool, so that's why I brought it. We also have Mega Charizard. Now, for those of you who don't know, I kind of don't like Charizard. He is my least favorite Kanto starter. He has not done very well so far this season, but at the same time, I guess he's also an 11th rounder, so he's performed admirably for an 11th rounder. But he's, not done very well. And maybe he just won't do well all season because I don't like Charizard. So, I don't know. Maybe he won't. But we're going to give him another go and see how he does. And with that, I guess let's go ahead and get underway. Alright, so since we don't have Defog or Spin anywhere on the team, I'm going to lead out with Zard so I can go ahead and get the Mega off. That way if he has to come into Rocks later, then he at least won't take 50%. So we actually get a pretty cool matchup here for you Gen 1 fans. We got Charizard versus Venusaur, so it's pretty cool. And they are both Megas, and they are both going to stay in and become Mega. So I can either Declaw here or Flare Blitz. Needed Flare Blitz to, punch through the things because John's team is, bulky offense, and I need things to die better to Flare Blitz. So in the end, I decided to go Declaw, and so we're both going to get Mega'd up here. Pretty cool. And we'll see how much this Dragon Claw does, and it does almost half. So I'm going to gauge that to be, looks like it's not a physically defensive Venusaur. It likely has the max HP, since that's the lowest of its defensive stats. But looks like the rest of the EVs are going to be somewhere besides physical defense, so that's something to keep in mind. Don't know if it's going to be specially offensive, specially defensive. I suppose it could be physically offensive or speedy as well, but that would be less expected. And so, based on how much Declaw did, from there, since I'm still at near max HP, I'm going to be okay. Just going ahead and going for a Flare Blitz before he pulls out any sort of Sleep Powder or anything like that. I know he's been tending to run either Leech Seed or Sleep Powder, so I'm going to assume for the moment he doesn't have it, but I'm also not going to be totally ignorant that he could still have it, if that makes any sense. So Pinhead comes in and takes a pretty good chunk, over half, from Flare Blitz. And this is where bad playing really starts to crop up. What I should do right here is just go ahead and take this kill, deny him Stealth Rock, and just be done with it. I'll be, if I get the kill, then I'll avoid Leech Seed damage too. However, I guess my thought was that, well, he might switch in somebody else and try to wear me down with Flare Blitz recoil, potentially some Intimidates, Leech Seed recovery, and extra damage, etc., etc. So that was kind of my thought at the time. Was that, I guess similar to week 2. I wanted to get Zard up to decent hit points. However, the problem with this is that while I get Charizard back up to good hit points, he himself also gets up to good hit points with Leech Seed and Leftovers, and because he is apparently max physically defensive Empoleon, that's what this looks like. This Flare Blitz proceeds to not KO with that extra recovery, and then Torrent kicks in, which I don't account for, and Charizard dies. So yeah, that was terrible. And as soon as Zard went down, that was when I kind of got the feeling that that's not how I play. I am way off my game. Maybe I shouldn't have played this game right after D&D with Xerxes and friends. So already I can tell I'm like out of sorts, and like this is not how I like to feel while I'm playing. And yeah, we have fouled up here. As you can see, the command time is ticking down because, as I mentioned earlier, I have a Zapdos this game that cannot actually 1v1 an Empoleon, which is pretty poor, because its only attack move is Air Cutter. So he doesn't know that, however. So I can probably force him out this time, or if he wants to stay in and just, you know, go ahead and let this thing go, since he did already set up Stealth Rock and take out a Charizard, you know, he might just be willing to go ahead and let it go. I don't know. But I'm just going to click Air Cutter. This thing's moveset includes Roost, Sub, and T-Wave to get things paralyzed. And the fourth move that I wanted to put, that I ended up putting on there was Sub, because, you know, that's cool. We can do some good stuff with Sub. Turns out, I kept telling myself, Cooper, you should have put T-Bolt, or Discharge, or the other move that I wanted to put on here, which I didn't put on here, which I won't say. But anyway, as soon as I see leftovers on that Raikou, then I know that it's Calm Mind. I've used Calm Mind Raikou before, and as soon as I see leftovers, it's like, that has to be Calm Mind. So I'm looking over stuff, and my Electric Resistance just got knocked out, and I didn't bring Blissey this week, which is going to be a big matchup problem here, because if this is Calm Mind Raikou, and I'm sure some of you have been in this situation before, you know it's this one certain set, you're like 99% sure of it, but you're really hoping that it's not, so you click a move hoping that it's not, and no, it is. So that's why I click Roost here, just in case he was, you know, something to go in for a hit and see what he could do. But nope, he is indeed Calm Mind. And from here, it's not necessarily game over. Code 6 of the Blue Rogues, never give up. But I am well out of sorts and not sure what's going on right here. This is very, very poor. Raikou is outspeeding the entire team. I do have something I can do against it, but it's not going to be something that puts me in a position to win. It just might shave some differential. So already, because I didn't bring Bliss, and he brought this thing, which was a great bring on his part, this is not looking great. I T-Wave there because, as you can see, the timer runs out, which I think that's actually the first time I've ever had the timer run out on me for a move. At the same time, I kind of am trying to fodder Dose off, as bad as that is, because it probably can't 1v1 Empoleon, and yeah, I'd still like to get some things paralyzed, but it seems that I'm just going to end up foddering Dose off. I guess I could have maybe foddered Vaporeon off, but I feel like Vaporeon could have maybe done something against Krookodile, so T-Wave was dumb, but at the same time, yeah, he would have recovered any damage off with an Air Cutter there with leftovers most likely, and I don't think clicking another move would have made a major difference there anyway. If anything, it would have potentially given him more Calm Minds. So as dumb as it was, I guess it was alright. So here's Whimsicott, and Whimsicott's goal is to get up a Tailwind and let Nitto come in and hopefully kill this thing. So there's a Shadow Ball instead of HP Ice, so I'm not going to completely write off HP Ice. You know, he could be trying to bait and switch me here. You know, I take it okay because of Light Screen, but now I'm in a really bad situation. I can't attack him because if I do, then I'll take Life Orb damage and I'll die, and I also can't set up Tailwind right now because then Whimsicott won't die and I won't get enough turns of it left to do. And Tailwind is kind of, you know, Suicide Tailwind anyway, is kind of like I can do this thing one time. And yeah, we're kind of like spiraling down the dredges of stuff. As you can see, I click something last minute there, and I end up just dropping in Vaporeon as he continues to set up Calm Minds, which is, you know, good because Whimsicott's not going to be able to touch him, barring, I guess, like, go figure, Subseed actually would have been pretty alright in this situation. But anyway, we dropped in a Vaporeon to a Raikou, so that should tell you pretty much the degree to which I was playing well in this game. So thankfully, though, Vaporeon is helpful and gets the one thing that I needed, which was Burn, which was because I needed residual damage to have a shot to KO it. Because again, I'm also kicking myself at this point because I brought Special Nitto instead of Physical Nitto. I do have Aggron with Earthquake, so you know I'm going to be able to do that if nothing else, but at this point, I'm just going to end up foddering off Vaporeon as he wisely is counting turns of Calm Mind, or counting turns of Light Screen, and is going to end up getting the kill, I think, on this turn, just as Light Screen expires. Meanwhile, on my end, now I'm still keeping up on my HPs as I tend to do, but at this point, I think I lose exact count of Calm Minds. In my mind, I think I had 3, and I believe he actually had 4. I'm also not counting it in narration either, so there you go. So obviously that's another thing that is not to my standards of play. So yeah, here we're going to end up dropping in Whimsicott as half the team is dead. And this is pretty much it. We're staring down the barrel of a 6-0 right now, and we got to do something about it. So Whimsicott's going to throw the Hail Mary Tailwind, which is what I'm going to have to do. And the best way I can describe this situation is, think like Power Rangers, right? When they put all the weapons together and they, form the Power Blaster to finish off somebody. Well, that's kind of what Suicide Tailwind is supposed to be, except he still has the full team. And I only get 3 turns with Tailwind being useful, so yeah, I don't have 6 turns to sweep through the entire team, so that means I kind of have to go into Nitto. Now, I have this calc, I believe, at +3, and thanks to Vaporeon getting the burn, I am able to, at least according to my calc with +3, take it out with an Earth Power. So here's Nitto, and he has to try to Earth Power and kill this Raikou, and he does, thanks to a crit. I will put up we'll have to check and see what his exact HP was. I think the crit may not have mattered, or it may have been a roll, kind of like Nips's Rose Raid versus Weavile a couple of weeks ago. The crit kind of ignored the need for the roll. So I think I might have been able to knock it out anyway. But the thing is, if he had a couple more Calm Minds, or if Vaporeon hadn't gotten that burn, I would have had to go into Aggron for Earthquake instead. And alright, that's the play I would have made, but anyway, I knew I needed Nitto to operate under Tailwind because Aggron could potentially still operate under Scarf and still potentially do a thing. Anyway, here's Black Kyurem, who I have never KO'd in the GBA, and Nitto KOs him right here for him with Focus Blast, so good job, Nitto. So Nitto is getting this back to a 4-0. It was going to be a 6-0, so thank you, Nitto King. You are doing good deeds for me right now. Brings in Warren Sapp, which I suppose he could have brought in previous turn, because this is going to take 2 hits to knock out, I believe, even if he's not bulky invested at all, as I believe Sludge Wave does roughly 60%, and looks like he's a little bit above that. So running some quick calcs, I guess, and yeah, of course, Sludge Wave is going to be the best way to go. Giga Drain doesn't do quite over half, and gets him some HP back, but it's not going to be quite enough to knock it out, and I think regardless of what he switches in here, I'm going to be okay going for a Sludge Wave. I believe Tailwind ended right there, so. But we do take down Warren Sapp, so Warren Sapp has still died in every GBA game it has been brought to so far this season. And unfortunately here, Nitto is out of Tailwind, and he's just kind of looking at me like, well, there's still guys left. I'm like, yeah, I know. But you did good, Nitto. You knocked out 3 guys, so well done for you. Here, I figure he's probably just going to go straight in for Brave Bird, and maybe be choiced, so we'll see. So I'm going to drop in Aggron, see if he wants to go for a stab move, and we also saw no Intimidate, so I figured he would be, of course he's going to be Reckless, and Aggron eats it up pretty well. And here, I'm trying to think, kind of like in-game versus Crimson, where it's like, is there any way I can like pick a different move and maybe not get have a chance to win? And another thing is that I'll talk about that in a second. So I know that I am going to be outspeeding this because I see Life Orb there, so it's not going to be Scarf, so I'm like, he's just going to stay in and go close combat, so I may as well just go ahead and try to take another KO with Head Smash. So that's what we're going to end up doing here. The thing with, okay, yeah, here's Head Smash, and Aggron picks up a KO, so anytime we get a Head Smash KO, it's not that bad a game, so Aggron is picking up a KO, but here's this thing. And I'm like, if this thing is actually like defensive, we might have a chance because I'll be able to Focus Blast it. But he goes first, which means that he is also Scarfed, which means that he is also going to kill Nitto. So I think he said from his side that he was just worried about the potential of like an air balloon Aggron potentially messing up with Scarf Crook. So he was just kind of playing it safe, making sure he got the win. As you recall in the game against Tup, he brought it in for an Intimidate and whatnot, and then proceeded to, get it critted, and that ended up to lose him the game. But he was also dealing with Moxie right there. So no Moxie to deal with right here. So, definitely don't blame him for taking the safe win once he confirmed that Aggron was not on a balloon or anything like that. But, as it is, we go down 2-0 to the New Orleans Pelippers, and obviously a fantastically played game by John. and a poorly played game by me compounding things. He clearly brought the right stuff, and I brought the wrong stuff. I'm not going to say it was necessarily bad planning on my part, but it was definitely the wrong planning to not have Bliss when he has Calm Mind Raikou. I've used it myself, so I'm aware it exists and it's pretty good. But admittedly, when I have Bliss, I didn't really think that would be a thing he would want to bring, but he did, and I didn't bring Bliss, so it worked out, and he was able to press it for all the advantage he could give it, because it then became a win condition as soon as he saw no Bliss. So, that's obviously a great job of recognizing that by him. Anyway, and I just want to apologize once again, John, because I feel like I should have played well better than this game. This game was kind of like downhill, and then like kind of some uphill, and then that was about it. So it was like it wasn't like very back and forth. It was just kind of John's got all the good things happening, and now Cooper's kind of making a comeback, trying to get it to be not a 6-0. So I don't know. It was definitely a different game than I think a lot of people expected. Although the end score was probably something that most people would have not been too surprised by. So anyway, as for where this puts us, actually we'll do MVP first. MVP is gonna be a unofficial MVP trifecta sort of deal, which is gonna be Whimsicott, Nido, and Aggron, that triad, because their coach was coaching very poorly, and then those three kind of came in and turned what was going to be a disaster into just kind of bad. So I'll take bad over disaster. Coda Blue Rogues again, this time number 3. Take treasures and be thankful. That's what I'm going to do this week. Getting it down to a 2-0, definitely a treasure. And I'm just going to be thankful to get out with that. Definitely not, disappointed to lose to John, because he's a great player. I don't think anyone should be disappointed in losing to John. I'm just disappointed in the way I played, and, to an extent, the preparation that we had. Because, again, we play to a certain standard, and that is not the standard that we were able to meet this week. So I am disappointed in myself, and we need to do better. So as for where this puts us in the division race, though, because of the efforts of those three, we do actually stay in first place in the Diamond Division. Both me and John at 2-2, myself at +9, he at +5. And so we have 4 differential lead on him right now, but, that's not a comfortable lead by any stretch of the imagination. Crimson is creeping up. He did lose this week, I believe 1-0, though. So, he's keeping all the losses since week 1. He's keeping all the games really close. And so, I guess that provides a good segue into next week, because we have not won a division game this season. The 2 non-division games we played were 6-0s, so if we want to keep that pattern going, I'd be okay with that. I will definitely take 4 division losses at 2-0 or less in exchange for 6 non-division wins of 6-0, but that obviously is not going to happen. And but anyway, we do play Crimson next week, rematch from week 2, and that week we didn't have the best game. Obviously, the unfortunate para hacks. You can't help but think there was still some stuff that you could have done, but I got in the position I wanted, and it still didn't work. So, but we do of course have one different team member this time. Team structure is a little bit different. So, it's going to be a rematch with Crimson, and this and next week I'm kind of feeling. I mentioned at the end of week 2, like John's about to turn on the afterburners, and he's about to start racking up wins. Looks to be the case, so we need to definitely not fall behind. We need to pick up a win next week, because if we get 6-0, I'd be down to 3, and Crimson I think is still floating around like -5-ish differential. So I don't think he could quite take lead from me right there, but that would obviously put John in first unless he likewise loses by a large margin, which I do not expect to happen. I don't really expect to see John lose more than one more game for the rest of the season, but you never know. That's why we play the games. That's what we said at the start of the season too. So anyway, I hope you guys have had an exciting GBA season so far, and we're going to see if we can pick up a win next week over the Detroit Steel Wings. Maybe Charizard will get his revenge for the para hacks. And we'll see how we go. Definitely we're going to be changing up the game plan to some extent anyway. Maybe bring some different stuff and see how we go and see what we can improve. But with that, Later days.
I have an addendum. The two people you see on your screen right now are not good people. They know what they did. If you watch the GBA power rankings every week, you know what they did, and it needs to be stopped. They have a very simple task that they're supposed to do every week, and half the time so far this season, they have failed. And I don't think it is a coincidence that the game after that week's rankings, when they have failed to do this simple thing, we have lost. So, if you are a Utah Jasmine supporter, go and leave these two some comments on their power rankings videos and let them know that they need to stop this, that they have a problem. If you use the Twitters, their Twitter handles are there as well, so you can go and harass them on Twitter and let them know that this behavior needs to stop. Danza and Tom, this is a call out to you. I'm calling you two out right now. Read my lips. Put me at my spot.